Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. It's myself, Josh, here today, along with Kieran, to bring you some reaction to Rooney's first press conference as manager of Birmingham City. Obviously, we had our live yesterday where we discussed the appointment of Wayne Rooney becoming our manager. Today, we're going to get reaction from what he's had to say in his press conference with Gary Cook earlier today. So, let's go. What's your opinions on this then, Kieran?
I think it's going to be an overall good appointment. I think we've got a lot of things where you line up. And at first, I was scratching my head. I'm not going to lie. After the results we've had, where we're sitting, the way we've been playing, I think if we were coming off the back of the results a little bit different, I think it wouldn't have been as much of a shock. But scoring 7 goals in 2 games and then sacking the manager, unreal scenes. But actually listening to more of Cook speaking, his statement obviously the other day, and then hearing Rooney, just seeing him in a blue shirt, it just changes things. I think it's going to be good all round. So for me, I'm excited now.
It's interesting to see Wayne Rooney in a Birmingham shirt, definitely with Birmingham. I saw a photo earlier of him stood next to Jude Bellingham in a Derby shirt, and someone's like, it's weird how different things can be. I think he does need a bigger hat, though. I've seen a few comments on Twitter where people are like, who give him the child hat?
He's got a massive head.
But a lot of knowledge inside that head. But first thing I want to discuss is, obviously, Gary Cook sat next to him inside the press conference. And the one thing that a lot of people have seen, it's been rumoured a lot the last couple of days, is the fact that Craig Gardner leaving his role. Gary Cook obviously shut that down today by saying that Rooney and Craig Gardner even is going to work with the club. And he basically put them rumours to squish. I think that's a big positive to take, that he's shut that down. He's very much made us fans aware that Craig is staying in this job. Craig is going to be doing what he can to help Rooney. So obviously, with that being said, what are your thoughts about him shutting that down the way that he shut it down, rather than just a statement online?
I love the fact that he shut that down, and it was pretty much instantly, and then he justifies it again later when they're on about spending, which we'll touch on later. But to put it to bed quite instantly was effective, I think, and I loved that from the beginning. It was like, yeah, thank you, Eustace. And just to let everybody know, Craig's staying. He's been fundamental in, obviously, the takeover happening, being astute, as Gary Cook called it, in the transfer window, and getting some of the players we've got in is unbelievable. How Dembele plays for Birmingham City, I don't know, but I love the fact, and that's down to obviously Craig and the team working together and getting him in, and then working alongside Wayne Rooney. He fundamentally isn't a head coach; he is a manager, and he mentions that in that statement today, that it will be Rooney and Craig that will work side by side to do players and also helping develop into the academies. And that's important. And if you're looking at any of the big clubs, that's what they do. Generally, the manager of the first team also implements stuff that they want to go down throughout their system. So when people are stepping up, it's not a whole different structure. You've got similarities, and I think that could be good for what we're bringing in. So I loved it.
Yeah, obviously you touched on it there, but you mentioned it in the press conference as well, that not necessarily having to spend money in January on players coming in. Obviously, they're trusting Rooney with the players we've brought in already. Obviously, like we've got Dembele, we've got Laird, Drame, Awu, and Anderson's been quality as well. I think he's been underpraised this season. Miyoshi, Buchanan coming in. I think Gary Cook commented on it and saying that we've now got a team in place that are going to be dealing with that, where beforehand, obviously, we've got Craig's got the attention from it. We're started thinking, have we got just one scout or just Craig getting people in now to have an actual team that we should have had years ago, to be fair, a structure of a team coming in to build. I think that's going to be a big influence on this, because it's not necessarily just one person looking at players. We've got a whole squad. And you look at the backroom staff that he's brought in, obviously John O'Shea, Ashley Cole, Cole Robinson, you've got Mike Taylor still, Sean Rush, we discussed earlier, stayed as head of physio, and then there's the other. What? Let me find his name. What's the other guy that they brought in? The Paul Shuttleworth.
Yeah,
he's brought in his team with him, and it's showing that obviously Wagner took over 3-4 months ago now, and started implementing it. Obviously, then the takeover was only announced 2-3 months ago, officially done, and he's brought this team in now that we're running like an actual club. We've not got an owner, a director, and a team. We've got a club. And I think that's nice to see that we've got.
Gary Cook's words were, "We've now got an organisation built to support the manager," which, like you said before, there was a lot of disparity between there was a head coach, then someone else was making decisions on transfers, and then someone else was paying for it, and it was all over the shop, and there was no similarities. I think what they're doing is narrowing a pathway. So if you want to step up, which obviously Rooney is a fan of bringing people up through the youth anyway, as our youth system's great anyway, that could work. But he's going to basically give them a clear pathway. This is the way we play football at this club, whether it's under 17s, 18s, 19s, first team, whatever. That was it. I think that's important, bringing it forward, and that organisation to support is going to be great, with things like the recovery training ground stuff, and then also getting scouts out there, lots more people in the game. That we've now got people from different clubs up as well. Like we've got Wayne Rooney, obviously, Man United and Everton links. You've got Ashley Cole, who has got your obviously Chelsea links. And I think that could be huge as well in terms of getting in players and moving forward in terms of what we could bring in and stuff potential as well.
Yeah. Well, you look at the fundamentals of what they keep saying. They want to make a brand. They want to make Birmingham City this big. You can't run a brand without a proper organisation at the top. I think we now get that. Looking at a comment that Rich has just put on, he said, "I said this the other night, gents. We now have proper people at the top. Trust the process and get behind the club. Keep right on." 100%. With having that structure there in place that should have been there 10 years ago when we come down, it's now the ability to actually run a club properly. But obviously, there's a few other things we obviously need to go through. Obviously, you mentioned Rooney like in the youth academy. As he said in the conference today, he's had 2 youth academy players join the first team in training. We can all have a speculation who we think it is. I have a feeling it is Junior Dixon and Ramel Donovan. They've both been in the first team squad pre-season and in the league so far. So the fact that it's day one, he's coming to work at 7 o'clock this morning to make a statement to everybody, players, staff, everyone, that you need to be in early. Work starts to crack of dawn, not rolling at 10 o'clock. With first training session in at 7 o'clock, bringing 2 players from the academy up, does that make an impact, make a statement of what he's trying to show here at the club?
Yeah, I think it also, he's going to be jet lagged, so he's going to be so tired, and to be there before 7 o'clock to go, right, this is where we're starting, this is how we're moving on, we're getting the job done, not messing around. I think that's important to put the first training into place. He said it's going to be a little bit different. However, his structure, the teams and the formations he play isn't greatly different to what Eustace was playing. And I kind of find it interesting that some of the changes Eustace made really, really play into the way Wayne Rooney plays. So has this been something preempted for a while and Wayne's had to say? We don't know.
The only thing I want to put on record, just to quickly say, is, and I see a lot of people are calling by, that I've got no negativity towards John Eustace.
No.
I thank John Eustace for everything he's done for the club, the fact that he's brought us fans back closer. But I think something's been wrong for a while, where you mention it. Has John Eustace been asked to play this certain way up to now? And it's kind of brought impact. But I see a lot of people saying that the negativity towards John Eustace needs to stop. Just want to clarify, we're not giving him the negativity we are seeing on social media. We want to obviously thank him for what he's done, but we are in a new era.
Yeah, I was gutted the other day when the news was announced. I was like, just as Birmingham City start feeling good, like you're going into games going, we're going to win this. And I can't remember the last time I felt like that as a Blues fan, as to stuff around the ground feels good. It feels nice to go to a game now. It feels nice leaving games, which is even better. Obviously we were in the safe standing the other day and the opening of that, and that's going to be exciting. That's going to be a whole lot of noise when that opens, because that was insane with just the few we had in. And it's little changes like that going into the ground where we're getting fans in. Eustace has managed us for a really difficult period and made us go from surviving to playing well. Look at the team we've got built now. Great. As I was touching on, some of the people that we've got in now actually fit with Rooney's systems very well. And he also manages with a 4-2-3-1 generally. He does a 4-3-3 as well to mix things up. And then if you're playing against a more attacking or possession-based team, he drops into a 4-4-2, which is a solid defending option. And I think now we've got players that justify all three of those shapes that he loves to play. And hopefully my only criticism of John Eustace was some of his in-game decisions that he's making and starting people that aren't performing. And hopefully Rooney can come in, see that, and maybe get that. Like for Hogan, for example, I don't think Hogan should have played the last 4 or 5 games when we've had Stansfield scoring goals when he's put up front, and then you put him out on the wing. It doesn't make sense why you'd put Hogan in. However, if now Rooney can come in and get Hogan shooting boots on, let's go. And that's the exciting thing. He knows how to score a goal or two.
So obviously just looking at Bill's comment here. Thoughts on John O'Shea and Ashley coming in, what will they all bring to the Blues coaching-wise, and what players can you see excelling under Rooney? John O'Shea and Ashley Cole. We all talk about Wayne Rooney being associated with Birmingham City, but John O'Shea, Premier League winner, Champions League winner. Ashley Cole, Premier League winner, Champions League winner. They are 2 great players to bring in. And as Blues have announced, they're still going to be working with their international sides. So they're getting the wide range of all players they're playing with. They're not just playing with Birmingham City, they're going away on the international breaks and keeping themselves mentality going. We obviously spoke about it off camera earlier. John O'Shea, same internationality as Scott Hogan. Could that potentially bring Scott Hogan up? But I think personally they bring in that winning mentality everyone keeps going on about. It was mentioned quite a bit that we got to win, we've got to do this, we want to go Premier League, this winning mentality, they're going to bring that in. As for players excelling under Rooney, you've got to be thinking of maybe a Stansfield, getting that just like a little bit more clinical and better. Hogan needs to take a massive step off him. I think Dukey gets put into this new kind of
Benteke role. You could play Dukey in the Benteke role that he had.
I don't think he does that. I think you bring him in as like a cam role of being able to bring that ball down in the centre of the midfield and just pinging off wingers, pinging off Stansfield. Bring him in that deep role rather than him playing as the main striker. You look at Wayne Rooney end of the career, I see a lot of people talking, I've seen it especially on Twitter this morning, a lot of people thinking, when I think about Rooney, you think about obviously the Man City overhead kick. But you think about Rooney's end of his career, he didn't necessarily play that striker role. He dropped into that centre midfield, he dropped into that CDM. And you think about that DC United tackle, I don't know if you've seen it yourself, 2-2 in the 96th minute.
Brings that ball over.
Yeah, but 2-2 in the 96th minute, the guy's running through on goal, he's ran 50, 60 yards, made the tackle to then get back up, to then ping a 40, 50-yard ball for a winning goal to send him to keep him up or whatever it was to do. I think he's got that mentality of no one stops. I think he can improve a Sunjic with showing him that bit. And he can improve a Bielik. He's worked with him before. Bielik knows how he plays. We could potentially be seeing a Bielik take another level.
I think the other guys coming in, John O'Shea and Ashley Cole, I think I've read something between the 3 of them, they've got 39 major medals and trophies. 39.
Mental.
That's a lot of winning. And can they bring that winning mentality in? They know how to win. Every single one of them knows how to win. Every single one of them has been with some epic managers across the time as well. So are they able to bring over some things they've learned, even if it's like little hints and tricks here and there, actually putting their minds together? Well, look, we can hope. I'm getting excited now. The more I think about it, and the more I'm reading and hearing. And yeah, that John O'Shea link up with Hogan. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Will it be a little bit of familiarity that maybe Hogan needs when he's coming in? Obviously, everybody's going to look at that Rooney and Stansfield connection and go, this guy scores goals with natural ability. This guy used to score goals with natural ability. That could be absolutely glorious.
I think the other thing as well that he's going to bring, you obviously talk about natural finishing, is a lot of, I've said it myself in the last couple of games, Miyoshi is a big one. Anderson, we saw him against Cheltenham, maybe lost a little bit of confidence, but we just don't seem to have wingers that want to shoot.
Yeah.
If Miyoshi had 2 or 3 chances against Baggies and Huddersfield, he could have got a shot away. Get a shot on. We don't care if you miss. Just show us there's something there. You could have a shot that hits a defender and falls at a striker's feet. Get them chances away rather than trying to always look for the striker. Anderson, I said it to you. Obviously, Blackpool used to play off, give it to Jerry Yates. Jerry Yates to score. Anderson needs to. He did it against Cheltenham, and obviously the keeper on that day, he got man of the match. He was incredible. Obviously, conceded 2 goals, but was incredible to keep it not 6-7-0. But I think that knocked Anderson's confidence a bit, and he's always looking for that pass. I think with Rooney coming in, he's going to be like, guys, you need to shoot. You're an attacker. You're not a central midfield player, but you're pinging the balls around. You are an attacker. If you are getting near that 18-yard box, shoot. Doesn't matter where it goes. You might find that you have the odd lucky one that you hit it and it flies in top corner. It happens. But do you think that's what he brings? Do you think Rooney brings that as a managerial player, obviously being the striker that he is? Do you think he brings that attacking flair? Or does he bring more of a old school attack with us where it's you just shoot from wherever and hope it goes in?
I think I'm going to use a comment and link it into a comment in the comments. Relentless. That is the exact comment that I am referring to. Relentless. Doesn't shoot. If you've got a chance to shoot, shoot. If you miss, score the next one. It's as simple as that. And you see some of Rooney's goals, he's shooting from 30, 40 yards, putting it in the net, scoring absolute worldies. If you've got that space, take it. And like that comment says as well, that the American way of business is relentless. It's brutal. You are not what I want you to be. Goodbye. This is what I want. And if it doesn't work, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. A lot of pressure. But given what he's done with the terrible teams that he's had, I mean, can he do it with a good team? He's going to have a few more egos. He's going to have a little bit more of a I know I'm good situation rather than those youth wanting to prove themselves like he had at Derby. I'm hopeful, but relentless ambition is what the owners have got. I think that's what Rooney's got, and I think that's why they paddle up so well. We need to get our heads out of just if we have to lose 6 games, 7 games, 8 games, 9 games to sack a manager. Yeah. We've had owners that did that, and that got us nowhere other than just in deep trouble a few times. You're doing great, thank you very much, but it could be better. And I think that's the difference with what we got.
So going from obviously looking at where he's going now, I see a comment there from Wayne. How long's a honeymoon period last? Is there can you call it a honeymoon period? Do you have one? Or is it honeymoon period for fans and then once it starts going bad, we turn on him? Or is it Blues fans are just expecting the worst and we're going to have a great start and we're going to be in this honeymoon period for a long time? How do you see that?
We've got some great fans.
We've also got some not so great fans.
And he's got a very tough 5 games. That is a baptism of fire. And
I've seen a lot about these 5 games. I think as well, I know obviously they've had a poor start, but we've got to start putting Sheffield Wednesday into that, the 6th game of his run. Sheffield Wednesday have just sacked their manager. They're bringing someone new in. They're going to potentially change the way they play. They could be a tough game in six games' time.
It's the honeymoon period. I don't think he's going to get one.
No,
and that's what I'm going to be honest with. I think we'll play 1 game, and people will go, "Oh, if we could win 3-0," and people will be like, "Eustace would have won 4-0," because that's the sort of fans we do have in certain aspects of our club, and I think the honeymoon period is the fact that we've just gone after 2 big games of Eustace winning big. I don't think you've got a settling-in period. You've got 5 games, buddy. Otherwise, the fans are on your back, and that's that could be disastrous, or it could be really good. Rooney said in the interview today, "I thrive under pressure. At 16, nobody believed I could do it. I came in, and then I went to be I had the career I did. I thrive under pressure." And I feel it here. And Gary Cook even put the pressure on Rooney there in the interview. He said something along the lines of, I'll remind you of what we want as a board, and I'll remind Wayne of what we want as a board." Right, and he said that in the interview, and you're just like,
that's one. Say that as well as one of the first things you mentioned in an interview if you were announcing a new manager. Of, not only am I going to tell you what we want, but even though we've had the discussions and you're a new man, I'm going to tell you again, this is what you have to bring. I've seen a comment here that's saying he's on £1.5 million a year for Rooney. The board have gone all in. I'm not fussed how much the guy's being paid as long as he's doing the right job. Obviously, we seen it the other day. It was rumored it's 3 times the amount Eustace was on. We don't know exactly ins and outs of contracts of how much people are on. I can't imagine Rooney's going to be cheap. He's like Man United's all-time goal scoring and one of England's best strikers to ever play, but he's not going to be cheap. And if the board are putting that much money in, there's got to have been conversations. There's got to have been something they've seen that we're not all seeing as a bigger picture. Because I can pretty much guarantee it now, 75% at least of Birmingham City fans never watched MLS football. No one's sat here watching DC United. We've probably got like worldwide fans that maybe join us, and if you are, hello, that watch DC United or have watched American football, American MLS football,
soccer.
American soccer, but not many Blues fans were going to have watched the MLS. So there's got to be something that they're seeing as Americans themselves to sit there and go, I'm going to pay £1.5 million a year to have Rooney come in as manager. There's got to be something they're seeing.
I personally think from the money side of things, as a business, that doesn't matter. Look at the difference between, you showed me the picture the other day, the difference between the welcome to Birmingham for John Eustace got something like 20,000 likes.
And I'll find it quickly.
The difference between the...
So John Eustace is head coach. Welcome, John Eustace got 2,947 likes. Wayne Rooneys in the space of 3 hours had 85,930 likes.
And that's more eyes on the club. That's more people tweeting, talking. How many times have we been on Sky News? Sky News are talking about us positively.
They've been at St Andrews for the last 3 days.
Like, they don't even go to us on deadline day when we had Harry Redknapp. Like, we don't get Sky News talking positively about us, and it's got a lot of people. Rooney is a big name in football in general. You're going to have stars, even like people like David Beckham. Now, he's over in the US doing his football team, etc., etc. What if he's got a youth prospect that he wants to send over to English football? Him and Rooney are close. It's stuff like that where now Rooney can tag into the US market as well. He would have seen some youth players there.
The other thing you've got to look at, looking at youth, the big reason we all know Rooney's coming, Kai, his son. liking all the posts, playing at Man United at the moment. Does he come over? But thinking of, you mentioned Beckham there, his son's at Brentford at the moment, B team. Could Beckham be looking at Rooney and going, come on, mate, do a friend a favour, let my son come to Birmingham, get him in the academy, give him some playing time in the Championship. And that kind of links me to the boy in blues comment. Saving grace is he's been in tough positions with Derby. Partly out of his hands, and DC United, he stated he likes a challenge. On the press conference, he sounds keen and eager. I can't wait. Obviously, Derby, they were basically dying as a club when he was there. And obviously, they've been taken over. They're now obviously still in League One, but doing what they can. Luckily, we never went down to League One. But what Rooney had there was, unfortunately, out of his, like he says, out of his hands. He can't help that. DC United, I've seen a few things online where they're saying that finances weren't in his hands there either. He didn't have a choice. And the ownership of DC United is not the best. So it sounds like he's got a lot to give. And like the boy in blue says, his conference, he sounded eager. He can't wait. He wants to get going. He's trying to set a sample. He's trying to keep us Blues fans with him. We're sixth in the Championship. There shouldn't be a negative. Whether we sack a manager, whether we're first or not, or last, doesn't matter when we sack a manager. Obviously, the ownership are seeing something, and I'm surprised he wants to come. And what he's gonna do with the club. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do.
I think in the last 2 months, we've brought in some huge names in Wayne Rooney, Ashley Cole, John O'Shea, Tom Brady. Now that put eyes on the club. Now, someone's commented saying likes don't make wins or points. That's correct. But what likes do bring in is revenue, because if you are winning, bringing in these people, putting all these eyes on it, people want a piece of that. Now, you're telling me if you owned any sort of brand, it could be anything, and you put it in front of it and you know it's going to get 2,000 likes, you go, okay, yeah, here's a little bit. Then you have someone come in and go, okay, what was the actual number for Wayne Rooney in 3 hours?
84,000, something like that.
Yeah, 84. Now, that's a big difference. You go,
85,930.
Let's say some of those click on the club shop. Some might buy something. But if you put an advert, a 15-second advert from any sponsor on there, that's going to bring in money. And Gary Cook says that when it comes to giving Rooney significant backing in the transfer window, he kind of tiptoed around it. He basically said, yeah, there's rules and regulations, and the one thing we do need to do is bring in revenue, and things like putting eyes on the prize. That's where your money starts coming in, and then you get better facilities. The training ground is even more improved. The ground gets even better. The players we can spend and the money we can spend because of financial fair play increases. We're not going to increase on shirt sales this year because we've run out of shirts, but stuff like that. The amount of shirts, if we could sell shirts right now that said Rooney on them, loads of people would buy it. And I don't care who they are. There'll be people in the things going, it's the wrong decision, but it's a brand, and building it as a brand, that's important.
It links with Stevie D's comment we've put. I guarantee there'll be a big investment coming our way. I read something earlier. I think it was all a joke, and you see people putting up now like, "Oh, sports star want to come to Birmingham." Obviously, Tiger Woods, I think it was, is having a bar put in at St Andrews Golf Course. I've seen all the jokes this morning on Twitter where they're like, "Oh, the golf is now coming to St Andrews," talk about Birmingham City and stuff. But surely, with the likes of Brady coming in now, obviously massive figure in America, Rooney's massive in the UK. Do we now look at somewhere like Japan, Tokyo, and bring in maybe some other sports stars from there? Obviously, we brought Koji in. That's going to bring us some following from that kind of culture and stuff. Do we look at maybe an investment from somewhere else, maybe Australia, Africa, Eurasians, something like that? Do we bring in another investment from there that then takes us even more worldwide?
I think if the rumours are true and we do get some sort of documentary, which this club has probably deserved for about the last 10 years, to be honest, because it's how we're still a club in the Championship, I don't know. But that could bring in serious money. Look what that's done for Wrexham alone. Then build that into the second city, build that into drawing eyes. We've got so many American fans now because just Tom Brady is bought part of the club. And then Wayne Rooney coming in, like for the sponsors. Now, look at that picture in the bottom right. Wayne Rooney is wearing undefeated. They would have had to pay a fortune for Wayne Rooney to wear undefeated. Now he's just wearing it. Now, if you become a sponsor of the club, you pay a little bit, but you get a lot's worth. So something like a show, whether it be Netflix, Disney Plus, wherever it's streamed, then you bring in some serious investors. Yes, somewhere like the Japanese, they're crazy for their own. As we saw last year, so are the Turkish. And you get fans that love people just for their own country. They'll support a team just for that. And if you're bringing in big things, then the possibilities are endless. The main thing is increasing that revenue. And if we get some of those bums on seats from those people, that's great. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's build whatever we can in that sense.
You got Reish's comment there, like as he's put, never forget the Sunderland Till I Died documentary. They panned to the big screen at St Andrews and we are below them in the table. So you look at look at what's happened with Sunderland. Obviously, they went through a lot of stuff. They went down to League One as well. We're taken over in this documentary. It's showing a big sport. They're now, well, last season they were playoff chasing team. So does that, like you obviously mentioned the Netflix documentary, that's obviously going to bring in the revenue. So but is that necessarily what we need right now?
Is it what we need right now? Yeah, we need money as a club. And if you start it now, you do a season 2 and a season 3 and a season 4, etc. If it works. If it doesn't, you cut it dead. You do it one time only. Great. Thank you for what we had. But there's a comment there that is from the boy in blue that says you only have to look on the news and in the media to see the attraction that we're getting. Now, getting that sort of traction brings in eyes of investors. And for once, it is not bad news we're bringing in. It is, we have got Tom Brady. We have got Wayne Rooney. We're doing great things. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're on our way to the Premier League. We're on the rise again. Let's go. And everybody loves a underdog and a rising story. So Hollywood checkbooks could be coming in. I don't know. But something of putting eyes on the club, that is important. And investors are going to love that. That helps increase the revenue. That gives us more money to spend in the windows. It's as simple as that. That's how it works. So
yeah, it also works as well. You look at what Mark said. Rooney's a sellable brand for sponsorships. It would exploit the club to the max. Obviously, playing wise, you look at CR7, massive brand for Nike. You look at Messi's Adidas. Rooney's also Adidas. So could that potentially bring in? We're obviously working with Undefeated at the moment as a sponsor. Does that bring in new kits with Adidas? Big sponsorships there. Does it bring in Adidas and Undefeated doing a link and we're getting something unique that's not there yet? Do you see Rooney bringing in that kind of attention? And what kind of branding do you think Rooney brings in massively apart from food? Because it looks like he enjoys that a little bit too much. But what else do you think?
Pies, yeah,
proper pucker pies at the ground.
Yeah.
But what other investments do you think, like sponsorship wise, that he could bring in? Obviously, he's got big brands like Adidas. What else?
Well, to be honest, it's endless. It is really endless. And then because you then put his kids in blue shirts or his missus in a blue shirt while she's swearing at Jamie Vardy's wife. Something like that instantly makes her a cult hero and also goes in all of the news. that all of the news then puts it worldwide again. Now we won't get into
Gillette.
that debacle, but
Connolly put Gillette. I think Rooney keeps his beard for the same reason I do. You don't see the chins. But
it's the best your nan can get, isn't it? That's can we go back to Lee Heaven's comment, which is, if the football isn't up to standard, we won't get the revenue through the door. Absolutely correct. I agree that. Example is, if Coca-Cola tasted crap, people wouldn't buy it. They still buy Pepsi.
But at the same time, think of the negative impact that it had on Coca-Cola when you talk about them. Ronaldo moving it off the screen in the World Cup. That there's going to be brands like that work with Rooney that Rooney's known for. That just that simple thing will bring in revenue for us.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's got to go well on the pitch. It doesn't matter who you bring in. You can bring in, like, if they were just bringing in a name to manage, they put Tom in to manage. Let's go. Yo, Brady, you're in, right? And get him to manage a football club. We'd have a Ted Lasso story. It'd be epic, right? But if they wanted to do just brand awareness, they do that. Instead, they brought in someone with a lined up sense of where they want to go, where they want to do, what they want to do with the youth. Someone that's actually proven themselves, yet with very difficult circumstances. With Derby, they had restrictions. They had the point reductions where they would have stayed safe. He did a great job there. Regardless of whatever people say, he was playing with a full team of youth. And I'm just excited as to what could come from it, to be honest. It's an exciting time, but it's worrying also.
I'm laughing because obviously there's a guy in the comments. I don't know if any of you can see it. YouTube will see him. Arthur Bushby. He's just winding blues. He's a Leeds fan, I'm assuming. But reading some of the things, he's just put plenty of whorehouses in Birmingham for him. Let him get on with it. We're not here for negativity, mate. We're here just to stick up for Wayne Rooney and support the boys in blue. If you don't want to support the boys in blue, then march on.
Keep going on in another direction.
Yeah. I want to talk about, there's a comment that Danny's just put up. Let me find it quickly. He's mentioned... What has he put? Hello, lads. Do you think that by Rooney coming in, it creates a whole new clean slate and play for your shirt philosophy? Do you think it could be a different starting 11 that we used to cope Borough? I'm assuming that's... I don't know what that's meant to say, but that's just me reading it, being stupid. I mentioned it on the podcast yesterday, Danny. I 100% believe now that is no one's position is safe. Like I said yesterday, the only person, potentially two people I see being safe, Sanderson and Ruddy. Ruddy's been playing class in goal. Sanderson's captain, obviously doing a really fantastic job. Throwing up the Z in front of Baggies, legend. But I think for the other 9 players on the pitch, you've 100% it's play for the shirt now. You've got to earn your position.
I think he'll play safe for the Middlesbrough game. He'll go with that same starting 11 that has destroyed the last 2 games. And I think that's what you've got to do as a coming-in manager. You've only had a couple of weeks, but you might see some surprises on and off the bench. You may see changes there. But I believe you, in like, if that was me coming into this club now, coming in to manage, and they've just won the last 2 games, they're full of confidence, regardless of if there's a new manager or not, and they know their style. So play that, and then slowly introduce yourself, rather than trying to come in and just change big things straight away.
Yeah,
but it does create a clean slate as well, because he's got to learn about everybody. He wants to see the way people train. Like we said, he was there before 7 o'clock to set an example, and I think he'll be very much like an old. If you imagine he worked under Ferguson for so long. If you're not doing the bit in training, you're not playing on the week. You're not.
Bringing up Fergie makes me think. Have you watched the Beckhams documentary on Netflix. Yeah. So there's a bit in that, obviously, we won't ruin it too much for you, where it talks about the attitude players had with Fergie and the way that if you weren't performing in training, he was like, you don't even bother coming on Saturday because you weren't playing. And it goes into the whole conversation of him kicking the boot at Beckham and all that stuff that happened backstage. And it was because Beckham had told him to F off, basically. And Gary Neville said it. Everyone said it to him. You said it once. And you knew foul well with Fergie that was the last time you'd tell him to. But he said in that he dropped Beckham for 3 games after that because he said he was the manager and you respect him. If you're not happy that you've been dropped or you're not happy that you're not being picked, tough. Love
the chat section right now, though.
Everyone going on about Sanderson. Loving it. But yeah, I think he brings in that thing. There is a comment, if we can get it up, from BCFC Fan TV that says, do you reckon Junior Dixon will get a shot under Rooney? And Dixon should surely get a start. 100%. What's he scored at the moment? Is it 6 or 7 in the same amount of games for the academy? The guy knows how to find the back of the net. The problem we've had for this last 4 or 5 games is we can't find the back of the net. You look at the games against Leeds, we had to rely on a penalty in the 90th minute. You look at Plymouth, we got fortunate with an absolute worldie of a goal. And then you look at our last 2 games, we've scored 7 goals in 2 games. I think Dixon needs to be brought into the team. Maybe not necessarily starting, but I'd be giving him 10, 15, 20 minutes to, just like Bellingham did, give him 15, 20 minutes at the end of a game, get your feet into the league, get used to the different pressure. I can't see why he wouldn't be in the team.
I think, for me, going off current form, and that's what I'd be looking at as if I was coming in as well, like Rooney, you put in Stansfield as your main striker, and I don't think you're bringing on Scott Hogan at all. I think Scott's got to really prove himself in training, and because you got someone like Dixon scoring goals for fun in the academy, he knows where to do it. And if he can go into training, and if he is one of those training with the first team, and he's banging in goals in training with the older lot, get him on the pitch. It's as simple as that. And I think he's got the biggest clean slate, and he's got the biggest advantage
there at home.
I generally think he has. And if he can prove it in training, he's absolutely getting minutes on the pitch, because Rooney will see that, and that'll be light up his world. I've got a youth player who can score goals.
BCFC Fan TV's put it again. Dixon and Stansfield up top. What an attacking partnership. I have a feeling this guy might be Junior Dixon behind the camera, because all it seems to be about Dixon. But I totally agree. If you've got someone like Junior Dixon who's banging in goals in academy, bring him up, let him play. You got players like Stansfield banging in goals for the first team. Obviously, we spoke about it because we were at both games. 7 goals from Huddersfield and West Brom. Not one of them by Stansfield. So does that open up and show that we've got other players that can score?
No. Yes, but does that mean he doesn't score goals? No. It's quite simple, the fact that we've scored some of those goals just from the runs he's made, because defenders are now so scared about him. They're sticking closer to him, which then leaves a big gap, which we've been exploiting with the midfielders. We've got people that can score goals. It's so exciting. We've got midfielders who are happy to score goals, like Dembele and stuff, because he's not afraid to shoot. If we can then get someone like Miyoshi, the amount of chances he has to shoot, I know we touched on that earlier, but that's all we need. And if you can bring someone like Dixon into that and get him scoring as well, between them two up front, Dembele and Miyoshi, it's just exciting. It's just an exciting time to be thinking about it. And then when you bring in, like, as weird as it sounds, some of the defenders that we've got out back, you then, like Laird, for example, you then create an even more pace, even more opportunities getting forward, and he's a defender. And there's possibilities that this could go really well for Junior Dixon. I really hope it does, because he's doing everything he needs to do at the moment in the academy to make his point.
looking at other young players, as a comment by Talented Tony, players like Jordan James, I think will be buzzing. We have not used him enough and could not work that out. Jordan James had the best preseason he will ever have of his career. He was scoring goals for fun. He was in that attacking play, and he looked like going into that first game of the season against Swansea, he was going to be in that position behind the striker. You then look at Huddersfield. He come on for the last, 10, 15 minutes or so, got the ball, controlled the game in midfield, did a run, and he did a Craig Gardner-esque wicked goal from outside the box. Does players like Jordan James, who we know can play this league, maybe not been played at the best, but can play, do we now use him a bit more? Does he now look at it and go, yeah, Sam, new manager, this is my chance now. I'm not losing that position. I'm getting that space and I'm using it.
I think he's another one that's got a good slate to go off here. I think it's difficult with Jordan James. I love him, but he flaps a lot as well. Like he thinks too much sometimes about playing the ball. He knows he should play it, but then he thinks about it, and then the option's gone.
Yeah.
And then I think he goes, "Oh, it's gone," and he loses it a bit. And I think if we can get that sort of side of things out, that's great. Another player I want to touch on, Sunjic. Sunjic's redemption arc this season is insane. The one thing that still frustrates me is his touch. Now, if Wayne Rooney can bring in some of his street striker, I mentioned it again. I know I loved it. I loved the program. If he brings in some of his drills and stuff that he was doing there to help improve people's touch and close quarter combats and stuff like that,
I saw a video earlier of them throwing tyres at him, and he dribbled around the tyres, and someone's like, Wayne Rooney's first day at Birmingham City training's going well. And it's Rooney on that street striker thing with the ball running in, dodging the tyres. And I was like, the guy's incredible with the ball at his feet, to be fair.
Drills like that, and they do like dropping it out of like a multi-story building, and you got to take it down. You take it down one, and then bang it in the skip behind you. Like his touch is massive. I love that because his touch is awful. But yeah, no, it is something like that where if they can bring in unusual drills where you're not doing your basic touch, pass, run, touch, pass, run. If he can bring in some of the unusual skills and drills that they did in that, I think we're going to see a little bit more of an improvement from Sunjic. Like he's already an 80% better player than he's been for us the last few things. The only thing I really hope Rooney does is continue playing him in his position. Because when he did that interview the other week where he's like, this is me just playing my football, guys. I'm playing in the position I'm meant to be playing in, and that's why you're seeing the difference, rather than I've played for all these managers and I've been played over here and there and not doing the thing I'm best at. He's got to stay where he's playing. I think he's another one that can't not be in the team.
Ian's put even Gary Neville speaking about us on a podcast with Roy Keane. So we're massive. Do you want to go on to Billy's last comment? He's put, also said on deadline day, would you want a new young goalkeeper in January for Ruddy and Mike to work with them and develop them before Ruddy's contract runs out? Then keep Ruddy as a backup to work. Now, I've had this conversation with, I think I had it with yourself the other day, of looking at a young goalkeeper to bring forward. If we've not got the money to spend, there's not a lot out there to be looking for. You need to be paying money for a keeper. But if he wants to work with the academy, what would be the issue with bringing Mike Taylor's son into the academy? He's currently playing at Bromsgrove Sporting as their number one goalkeeper. I've seen on Twitter the last few weeks that he's been playing really good football in there. That he's a quality keeper, and obviously his dad's his coach. So we all know what Mike was like as a player, apart from the fact that he always kicked to the right and couldn't kick straight. Yeah. Great goalkeeper to be training off. Would Ollie Taylor be someone that would be good to bring in at that academy level with your players like Brad Mayo, who's obviously working with Everidge and Ruddy at the moment, as well as, what's the other keeper called? Zach Jaycock, who's gone out on loan. Do you bring someone like Ollie Taylor in that stays that academy as their number one keeper? You train him up with his dad and then maybe bring him into the first team picture with Ruddy and Taylor when he's just that little bit more experience?
I think it'd be good for Mike as well to be able to bring his son in and directly work with him. Do you take him out of first team action now at Bromsgrove? No.
You take him out of Bromsgrove though and bring him into Birmingham City, where he could go into not necessarily first team, but academy football.
Yeah, but maybe that's a January thing. Maybe that's an end of the season thing. But what Gary Cook said earlier was they're already working on January.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't seem so last minute anymore, does it?
I'm not being. Rooney didn't come in over the last 6 days. That's my honest opinion. This has been going on a while.
Is Sean Russian on board? Sorry,
this has been going on a while, and I think he's had a lot more input in terms of several things. And I think there will be a whole plan for January. Reece Thomas, yes. Sean Rush is still on board doing.
He's for the head of physio fitness.
Mike Taylor was the one kept on board as well.
Stephen Conley's put, how old is he? I'm assuming, Stephen, you're on about Ollie Taylor. I believe, could be wrong, that he's about 21. He might be younger. He might be like 18, 19. I can find out about that. If Billy's watching, Billy knows him. Ollie Taylor's a great player from what I've seen, but I'd let him train at the first keepers, then send him back on loan at League Two, plays for the second half of the season. Billy, can you let me know in the comments exactly how old he is, please? Because I know that you've worked with him before. But he's young, I know that. He's late teens, early 20s. So, like I said, he could, like Billy said, he could be bring him in, let him go out on loan, and maybe Sal Jaycock or Yusal Etheridge and get some money in. But realistically, is there anybody else? He's 24. Thank you to Logan, who's put that. BCFC fans put Craig with that Man United connection. Now Rooney.
Yeah, we're still not going to get De Gea. I don't want it.
We'll put De Gea for 10 grand. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. But going off ex-Man United players, and I've seen a bit today, Jesse Lingard. Do we bring him in?
No.
I think
for me,
too much of an attitude.
Jay Lings is a social media personality more than a footballer, and you don't need that ego in the changing rooms. For me, that would be a no. Obviously, if he was brought in, Onana, no.
No, Jesse Lingard, I think it's one of those. The only way you're bringing Jesse Lingard in, he's definitely going to want too much money. But at the same time, Billy's put, I believe he's 22, 24. However, that's like teen level for goalkeepers. They last longer. Thanks for that, Billy. Appreciate the answer. But I think Jesse Lingard coming in is one of these where he's desperate to play football now. And I feel like, as Andy's droning and Sim Racing's put mates rates, I feel like he would come in and believe that Rooney would just give him, oh, yeah, I was at Man United with you. You're my pal. I've won trophies with you. Yeah, here you go. Start. I don't think he would. Stephen Conley, Ben Teke, excuse my French, but you can fuck right off. Yeah, coming
in. Diane Blackwell makes an interesting point because she says about the billboards being up already. There's no way he's been done in 6 days.
Aston Express.
Yes, I love it. Absolute, banter. But yeah, you can't just buy one of those and get it hired for the next day. Nope. That is long-term planning. He's been around for a while. This has been waiting to drop, I think. And
we could have Onana's cousin, Onapple.
No, this hasn't just happened overnight, and this hasn't just been, he lost his job, I have nowhere to go, blah, blah, blah. This is...
I think what Rich has just said, guys, this was done when they brought the club.
Absolutely.
I said it yesterday on the podcast. I think from what I've read about, this was done when they brought the club, but they've waited for Rooney's contract to run out, so we haven't had to pay money for him to come in. It was basically a free option. But we'll get one last question, and then we'll let you all get on with your evening. Let's have a look what we've got.
Yeah, that one, the boy in blue. Johnny used his reaction with that third goal, Baggies, and he points over to the director's box. He knew what was coming. He knew it's in place.
I had this conversation with you the other day, though. If you actually watched that video carefully, you see him tap the badge, and when he points at the thing, he's telling people, back the board.
Yeah.
They are the words that I've read. I could be really, really bad at lip reading. But to me, I read that as him saying, back the board, because he knew what was coming, and he's trying to tell fans, look, what is coming in isn't because of me. It's genuinely, I've tried my best for these couple of games just to keep it going, but you need to support them and show them that you are going to back the club.
Yeah.
He's then put Johnny Eustace will do really well, and he won't be out of a job long. He did well at Blues. I'm waiting for the announcement to say that John Eustace has gone to Rangers. 100% he will not be out of work long. I think he would. But yeah, I think John Eustace knew it was coming in that celebration against Baggies. I think he was happy to get a win, and I'm glad that we won on his last game.
Yeah, and what a way to go out. But Rooney needs to come in, needs to get some results fast, because there's a lot of the fan base that are still unsure. The thing we need to do is get behind him. Whether we like it or not, he's now the Birmingham City manager. We need to still come down the ground. We need to still be singing every minute of every game and be that 12th man, because it's important. Whether you like him as a person or not, get down to the ground, support the team. It's about a bigger story than just Wayne Rooney, and the club will keep moving long after Wayne Rooney's gone even. So it's about supporting it, getting that revenue in to help progress that further thing. And for me, I'm fully in, and I'm excited for where this takes us forward.
Yeah, definitely excited to see what happens after the international break. So thank you all for joining us. Obviously, we get you the reaction of Rooney's first press conference today. There's going to be a lot more coming out over the next week. Thank you to Tommy. I know a few asked where he was. He's currently in the background doing busy stuff, but he's helping us out. So thank you, Kieran, for coming. Don't forget to check out the Blues podcast when it's up next week. We'll get one out, and check all our other social medias out. And as for that, keep right on.
Keep right on. Thank you, everybody.